We're going live. Yes, good. Hooray. Hey, Allie. Hey, Suzanne. Hey, everybody else who isn't here yet. John Lavenia here. Welcome to our Success Mastermind for another thrilling week. It is Monday, the 16th of August. I am here with you, and we got some great stuff going on. It has been, it's been a quiet summer for some people. Here comes Gail from New Jersey. And Daisy, but it's been a quiet summer for some. It's been a busy summer for others. We're winding down here this whole week here in Arizona, not one day over 100 degrees, not one day. So we are out of the hundreds. Yay. I'm sure we'll get another 100 plus day. That's Fahrenheit, of course. But yeah, so we're winding down summer, and I'm looking at, well, I've had my attention a lot on fourth quarter stuff. Like, how are we going to end this year? Can you guys believe it's third quarter, like mid third quarter? We're coming up on fourth. So we've got third quarter is exactly half over. July, half of August, September. And then that's it. It's fourth quarter, right? So I'm thinking about something we talked about some months ago, which was, if we're going to do this New Year's resolution thing, or if we're going to be intentional about this year, can we compress that down? I know some people were looking at something like the 12-week year. That's a little training program in terms of personal productivity, which got some traction. Some people like that method, but the whole idea of creating a bit of urgency, right? And having getting things done early rather than at the last minute, right? You still have a bit of opportunity to do that, right? Because it's not fourth quarter yet. So just keep that in mind. But a couple of announcements before I get into what I wanted to talk with you all about here today. We do have on our calendar today, our hospitality suite's always open after this session, but then we are going to have our book study group tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern US time. We are starting on a new book tonight. So go ahead and grab, if you haven't already, a classic. This is a classic book by Raymond Hollywell called Working with the Law, which is a theme that I've been offering you piecemeal over the last few weeks as we've been reading, actually, my book, Integrity is Everything. But working with the law, let me go ahead and share my screen so you guys can see what I see here. So here's our members site. If you go in here and you look at live sessions on the menu, here's our book study group. You can click right here and you can get the book. Okay, so let's do that. Let's click there. Now let's see what happens. Oh my goodness, Working with the Law, Raymond Hollywell, Kindle, delivered instantly. You might be able to find some discount versions in here as well. Raymond Hollywell, I don't know if you $2, right? I don't know. This is the first one I clicked on. So we're going to go ahead and cover the first couple of chapters with that. Of course, you could also find every book we've read is here in the books section of resources. And if they're free, you just download them for free. And then I link you up to them. If they're not free, you can go buy them on Amazon. Look at all these books we've read. As a Man Thinketh, Think and Grow Rich, 7 Habits, Integrity is Everything, Richest Man in Babylon, SGR, Power of Consistency, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, Psycho-Cybernetics, and tonight we're starting Working with the Law. You know how many people read books after they leave government schools? Like 3%. I'm not talking about romance novels. I'm talking about, stuff that can make you, be doing more of what you actually want. We've read, what was that, a dozen? Anyway, so we're going to be doing Raymond Hollywell moving forward for the next few weeks. And that is open to your friends, family, and neighbors, right? So you got anybody who's interested in like applying philosophy into their life, feel free to invite them. jlsuccessmastermind.com/books. Simple as that. So jlsuccessmastermind.com is where you can go to get a trial membership and almost free, super duper discount. But just, free guest, jlsuccessmastermind.com/books. And they can opt in. And I'll send them reminders whenever I remember to do so about what book we're reading and what time we get together. And here's the link and all that. A couple of things I wanted to talk with you about today. Well, actually one thing, and that is the difference between processes, as our European friends say, and events. Okay. I've heard it said that sales is a process, not an event. I've also heard it said that success is a process, not an event. And on the other hand, I've heard that you build for events, right? In other words, you create a timeliness, an urgency, you create an event out of things, right? Okay, so how do we reconcile that? if, like I mentioned right at the outset here, we're coming up on fourth quarter. That's an event. Okay. But your success throughout the year, including any new endeavors you've taken up, like our friend Suzanne, right? So that's a process, right? You don't know until you learn stuff, and then that's a process of learning. You climb the mountain on a gradient. It's not an event that you snap your fingers and suddenly you're on top of the mountain. That, I suppose, could be nice if that was real. And maybe that is real when you're, let's say, investing a lot of money into a business that has systems and everything else. It's kind of like buying the helicopter. Okay, so this helicopter is going to take us to the top of the mountain. I don't have to climb that mountain myself. We're going to hire all these people and put these systems in place. And here's the money. Give me the damn helicopter. Let's get to the top of the mountain. And then let's, take however long it takes to break even, because I just bought a damn helicopter, right? And they cost money. So there's different methods you can use. Okay, but there is a process for both of them, whether we're looking for an event of immediate fruit on the tree, or we're looking for something where we are going to develop ourselves more long range and then have a lasting successful experience. Keep in mind, even the helicopter took time to build, so you're investing in somebody else's process, right? We buy a franchise, let's say, you're investing in someone else's process. So the event of transacting, of buying the business or making the sale, right? So now you're selling. So either way, on that's an event that occurs. Okay. But what led up to that? What led up to that is a process. I think it was last week we talked about the law of gender, which states that all seeds have a gestation or incubation period. So there's nothing that, you can't expect the seed to like grow fruit in 10 seconds or anything just because you planted the seed. There's a process to that. Okay. So we're intelligent people. We get that. That's cool. There's one other phrase that I've heard, and that is that the joy is in the journey. Now, that's one, when I look at processes and when I look at the events that I want to occur as the fruit of those processes, that's the one where I've gotten stuck from time to time. If I've looked at or had my attention fixated for whatever reason on, I want it right now, it's not done yet, where's the money, right? That's sort of a conversation that I could have with myself. Then I fail to enjoy the journey. And that's my responsibility to enjoy it or to not enjoy it. And apparently I'm not the only one. Hence, people kicking around phrases like the joy is in the journey. Like if more people besides John weren't like kind of fixated on getting the result, then probably that phrase would have never caught on. That would have never stuck. The reason it stuck is because a lot of people relate to it or don't want to relate to it. They're like, no, I just want the damn fruit on the tree right now. I want the event. So how do we reconcile this? How do we do both? How do we have pleasing events and at the same time enjoy the journey and experience the process or process? Great question. And here's the answer that I've come up with. Number one is to remain in present time. In other words, to be in process, in present time, and to not to allow myself to be just so fixated on what hasn't happened yet. When I'm in present time and celebrating present time wins, I'm celebrating present time events that are worthy and valid. And I can look and I can say, oh, well, look at that. I've made progress there. And that is certainly part of the process that will bear fruit. That's what I'm expecting anyway. And so because of that, I'm to be congratulated. You see, I am happiest, talking about enjoying the journey, I am happiest when I'm in high integrity action. High integrity action. In my first book, Integrity is Everything, which we just reviewed, I talked about making an integrity list. So just like you've got a gratitude list, maybe you do. Okay. So if you're feeling a little down in the dumps or ungrateful or pissed off or something, well, go ahead and grab a piece of paper and start writing down things that you have. I'm grateful that I have that. I'm grateful that I have that. We're grateful for things we have. And we can put that down on what's called a gratitude list. I can think of, 5 physical senses. I can see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. What else? I can think, oh, that's good. A lot of people can't. I can, I've got a roof over my head, food, water, gravity, all of the luxury accommodations. And then I've got wonderful relationships in my life. I've got a business that works. In fact, I've got 4 of them. I've got like all these things that I have. All right. So now I'm grateful. I'm not saying I'm instantaneously happy, but I'm grateful, which is a lot better than sitting there, griping about circumstances or whatever. So that's a gratitude list. Nice. Do it. But here's the integrity list. Here's all the things you didn't screw up today. Here's all the things you did right, whether they bear fruit or not in present time. In present time, you accomplished them. Oh, look, I said I would call the client. And lo, I called the client. Write that down. Called client. Look at how much integrity I have. I said I would do it, and I did it. What else did I do? What else did I not screw up today? You know what? I got my daughter breakfast, and that worked out pretty good. She ate it. She didn't choke, right? Everything was fine. Right? That's good. That's something good I did. I got her breakfast that she was able to eat. What other things I did? You know what I did? I forgot all about it. It was all the way back at 9 a.m. today. It's the end of the night. And I kind of dismissed it I took it for granted. I closed that contract, that deal we had been working on for 3 months. Write that down, right? Now it hasn't paid me yet, but my goodness, how much closer to that event are we now that we've been through part of that process? The point is that I can easily dismiss these high integrity actions, these wins, because if my attention is fixated on what I haven't done yet, well, you can only think about one or the other, right? So my argument would be, if you want to enjoy the journey more, John, I'm saying this for me, you guys get to listen in, but if you want to enjoy the journey more, John, acknowledge and validate more that which is actually working and right and accomplished and done and all that, right? And not so much on, all the problems that you'll still have to solve, right? You're doing the life thing. I get it, right? There's more stuff coming. But can we just choose deliberately to be more often than not focused on how right we've been, not how lacking or wrong or deficient or whatever. Self-deprecation is easy. Any half an idiot can be critical of themselves. It's easy to do. We've heard the saying, we're our own worst enemy. Yeah, it doesn't take any degree of intelligence to do that. Actually, you know what? Maybe that's wrong. Maybe it does take a degree of intelligence. I've heard, what is it called, guys? What's the rule of where you have to have a certain amount of intelligence to know that you don't know? Like really stupid people are like ridiculously confident. They think they know everything, and they're not smart enough to know that they don't know. Dunning-Kruger, is that what it's called? The Dunning-Kruger effect? I think that's what it is. Yeah, in fact, John Cleese, great British comedian and philosopher, did a video on that. You could probably find it on YouTube. Why stupid people are so confident, or you got to be smart to know that you're stupid, or something like that. It was a funny little bit. I love John Cleese. Oh my goodness. I'm ready to go watch Monty Python movies now, but The Life of Brian. Okay, so back to the point is that you do have the ability to assess, to look, to turn, not to introvert, right? That's not what we're looking for, but to introspect, right? To look inside and to get quiet and get in present time and look as objectively as you can at not only what you didn't do, but what you did do. And we celebrate that. And this is why, guys, whatever the process is, business, relationships, whatever, this is why we have a daily method of operation. If not, then it's just happenstance, and I hope stuff happens to me. But I've had this conversation so many times. I know all of us have had it to at least some degree, to even a light degree. And the idea that how we start our day is how our day can typically go. So there's a book called Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod, which kind of boils it down into its simplicity. Okay, it's a lot of the same stuff that I talked about on my book, that Weldon Long talked about in his book, The Power of Consistency. Right? That it's not like a new truth or anything. But Steve Covey talked about in the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. What's habit number 1? Be proactive. Be proactive. In other words, to plan out, here's what we're going to do for these purposes. These are on purpose things that we're going to do. We're going to be on purpose people. And I'm going to decide that in advance and cause life to happen, not have life happen to me. So be proactive instead of reactive. Okay, so that's something we could do. And let's say we actually did it. Let's say that we got up at 6 in the morning or 5 in the morning or whatever you call your morning, right? And we do just a couple of things. I'm not saying you got to go through a whole litany of things. And this is where a lot of people stop themselves. They create this whole mountain of stuff they've got to do before they could feel like they've accomplished anything. No, remember, the process includes little events within the process. Okay. So first thing in the morning, let's say quiet time, meditation, visualization. Okay. Whatever. I know I'm conflating a few of the things, like how Elrod talked about, silence and then like visualizing as separate things. I don't see them as separate things. Whatever. Okay. So that's a guideline. It's not the gospel. Okay. It's a guideline. So great. Sit there, be quiet. For how long? For however long. Half hour, 10 minutes, whatever. Okay. But infinitely better than zero. Infinitely better. 10 minutes is infinitely better than zero. 1 minute, infinitely better than zero. Okay. Read your goal card. Do you have a goal card? Just the fact that you've done it. That's a high integrity action. Acknowledge that. Okay. So it's going to be part of your daily method of operation. What else? Exercise. Exercise. Huge, huge unfair advantage. Enormous, unfair. And that's how we roll around here. Unfair. Okay. You're like doing something with the body. You're getting the endorphins going. You're doing that early, right? Before you could talk yourself out of it, before the rest of the day impinges upon you. That's a high integrity action that goes on your integrity list for that day, right? That acknowledgement. Yes, I did it. Lots of people say they were going to. I actually did. And I didn't want to, and I did it anyway. And if you're just getting started with this kind of stuff, it could be very low gradient kind of stuff, just like walking down the street, walk around the block, which in itself is therapeutic, right? Just getting in present time and not thinking so much and just like looking at trees and birds and whatever. That's awesome. I've got to do that more often. I'll tell you what, I've got a bit of a, I've got a little bit of a neck and shoulder issue going on for about a month, maybe more. And, part of it's, being myself up in the gym and lifting heavy weights and whatever. Part of it is just, I'm in my 50s and I stare at a computer screen a lot like this, right? With typing. And I do that a lot. Okay. And my chiropractor says that that's probably not a good idea for me to do that for really sustained long periods of time. So I get like a little bit of numbness and pain throughout the arm. And, yeah. Okay. So take a break, ice pack it, walk around, use the legs, stop staring at a computer screen or not. I mean, this is for my benefit, right? I mean, there's no, I'm not selling you this so that you could, for your, it doesn't benefit me for you to do it is what I'm trying to say. It benefits you for you to do it. So there's like no other motivations around it. It's just, are you taking care of yourself? So I'm asking myself that now. It's for my benefit, John. Are you taking care of yourself? Sometimes, yeah, but we're in the heat of battle, right? Oh my goodness. And so I'm so damn focused, right? So if you've had that situation for yourself, just know that you're not alone. Okay. But haven't we also seen so many times talking about, the unfair advantage where we've taken a step back and we went and did other stuff that didn't require a whole lot of thought and evaluation and significance. And then we came back and we were able to look more objectively at the subjective work that we were doing of the thinking and the decision making. And because now we got objective about it, now it flows so much better. We're not in it, we're above it. We're observing it. We are not it itself, the work, the problem, the difficulty. Unfair advantage. Unfair. I want every advantage I could possibly get. How about you guys? You want to have an advantage? Yeah. Okay. Do that. Okay. What else? What else can we do with our daily method of operation? Some people are into journaling, which can be spectacular, right? And I recommend the thing that you journal about. There's 3 things: is your challenges for the day. So this would be more of a nighttime activity. Your challenges for that day, your wins for that day, and then what did you learn? So here are my challenges, and just write them out so you can look at them objectively. Nice. Here are my wins. Here's what I learned, right? Here's what I here's what I gained in terms of, successes. Here's my high integrity actions. There's that integrity list again, right? And then what did you learn that day? This is the surest way to increase your own self-esteem, is to acknowledge that you've learned something, to learn something new every day, right? There's something you discovered. Because if not, here's the thing. People say, back to the idea of the joys in the journey. Okay. So let's say you've been working a job for 20 years. I've heard people say, well, it's actually not 20 years. It's just 1 year, repeated over and over and over and over again. Drudgery, right? Is that, where's the learning in that? Where's the evolution in that? I'm sure they must have learned something. But if we're talking about enjoying the journey and having that self-esteem and enthusiasm for life, well, there should be some adventure to it. I believe that, before we evolved into these, computer creature people and all the stuff that we're doing now, I believe that there was a time when we were running through the jungle, having our life threatened 3 times a day by saber-toothed cats and all kinds of creatures, right? And life was interesting and you learned stuff quickly, or you weren't around tomorrow. Okay. Kept life interesting. And so where's the adventure right now? Not that I'm, longing for saber-toothed cats in my life. Okay. But how about some adventure? Right. I've been one to play it safe. We could say that there's a certain amount of randomness that people can experience before it's like too much, right? I had a whole lot of randomness in my childhood, which I would say is a reason where I've been a bit risk averse. Everything's stable. You guys know I have my office exactly the way it is, right? I like everything in its place. Nothing random. I don't like random. Okay. I like order. Okay, good. But there's got to be a certain amount of randomity. Otherwise, nothing. So I have adventures in my life. What adventures do you have? An adventure could be, well, just being a parent is an adventure, right? How many parents do we have here? That's part of the journey. Are you enjoying that journey? I mean, think of it like this. There's times when I've gotten frustrated with the lack of order, the disorder created by my beautiful, wonderful princess. And and then I was thinking, well, what if she didn't exist? All right, I'll take the disorder. I'll take the randomity. Yeah, she's awesome, right? And she gets to learn stuff too. And she's on her own path. I mean, I can give her an example, and it's a very, contrasting example. Like, here's her methods, and here's my methods, and they're far apart. Okay, in some things, right? And things like keeping order in your space. But mommy has that same issue too. So all of you know Shannon, of course, and she sometimes has a little outburst. It's like, I can't believe this room is a mess again. So anyway, we're dealing with that. But that's an adventure. Can we treat it as such? We've got people dealing with technical problems, e-commerce selling platforms and stops and technical whatever, right? It's part of the adventure. It's part of the randomness. Keeps it interesting, unless you're in the thick of it, right? Unless you're not able to look objectively at it. And look, guys, I've been there. It can be frustrating, right? Dealing with large corporations and machinery and things that don't seem to make sense, right? I'll tell you what, a lot of the times, if there's an out point, if there's something that just cannot work for some reason, half the time it's their out point, it's their failing, it's their broken stuff. The other half of the time, I didn't read the instructions, or I thought I read them, or I assumed what they meant. And I went past words I didn't understand, and I assumed meanings, and I didn't pay attention, and I screwed it up. I saw a document here in the United States. I can't remember what it was. It might have been something motor vehicles or taxes or something, a government document. And I found that it was the places where you're supposed to write your credentials, first name, last name, and date of birth, month, day, year, or is it day, month, year? A lot of times people assume because of, let's say you live in Europe, right? So it's day, month, year. Well, in America, it's month, day, year. Okay, I didn't read the prompt. I put day, month, year. It said month, day, year. Okay, well, which one comes first, right? Oh, I got to start all over again. Give me another document to fill out. You guys ever experienced that? Right? That's just one example. Or last name first name last, middle initial. Didn't ask for your whole middle name, just a middle initial. So, compliance with the instructions. That's a good idea too, to create order and to avoid excessive randomity and to enjoy the journey a bit more. Understand what the journey is. Kind of hard to get the effect that you want to have if you're sitting there in a cloud of mystery and assuming you're right, which is just like the person sitting in the cubicle for 20 years, right? That's pretty presumptuous. So here they are repeating the same year over and over and over again with no adventure. Why? Because that's right. Well, says who? Well, apparently says them. And if that's your path and you're digging that journey, okay, go. That's your journey. That's cool. Your choice, right? So how long have I been talking? My goodness, 26 minutes already. And yes, Virginia, I've got that on my shopping list. Thank you. But the thing is, as we approach our day and our week, if we can experience the events consciously, right? The events that happen throughout our day, throughout our week, knowing that they're all part of the process, and knowing that yes, we're looking for even greater events, but that's going to happen as we become better, stronger, faster at the processes which we've deliberately chosen for ourselves, and hopefully we know it, right? Hopefully we're not just a cog in some wheel, right? Or repeating the same stuff over and over again and never learning anything and not having any adventure. But we go ahead and we learn some stuff and we apply ourselves enthusiastically to not only the task at hand, the event, the present time event, but also to the process. Remember what Waddle said in The Science of Getting Rich. You'll make every action a successful one, an efficient one, when you do it with your focus on purpose and faith. So each particular action, each event, each bit of work is not only an on-purpose action and we're keeping our focus on the purpose of the action, but it's also, we have the faith that we are accomplishing that which is, we're here to accomplish, and that we in fact can, right? And now we do that. We keep collecting those successful, those high integrity events, those high integrity actions. And then what? Well, we have to be a success, right? That's just law. That's just how it works, right? You do successful stuff, you become a success, right? You do off-purpose stuff in a state of, doubt and indecision and everything else, you get to fail. It's nothing personal. It's just the law. And you can't break the law. You can only break yourself against the law. We're going to be talking about the law tonight. So Raymond Hollywell, working with the law. I'm excited. I've got one of the original copies here on my bookshelf. So I'm going to be on the paper version. And with that, I guess I'm going to stop talking now. So who else would like to come out here? I see Virginia talking in a chat. Virginia, why did you come out here? I would love to hear from you. You've got some insights, my friend.
A little story I put in the chat about my dad. Mm-hmm. Not that he was the smartest tool in the shed. He was an airline mechanic, but he did, rise up into the supervisory levels. And that was just always funny to me that, he took this exam with all these other mechanics and they had to read to the bottom before they started. And it said, don't answer the questions, turn it in, blank. And that was really, the exam was about, are you following directions? Are you following through? Are you, or just assuming? And I'm guilty of assuming so many times, just get started. Or like you said in your example about the date on a form or the first or last name, quite often we see what we want to see or what we think we see, and then we move forward with that. But other than that, I am just doing great. And just sorry your shoulder is bothering you. You do have some randomness in your life with your beautiful daughter and wife.
My sweetie. So awesome stuff. Thank you, Virginia. And talk about the ability to follow instructions. You said aircraft, that was his thing?
Yeah, airline mechanic. He was World War II Army Air Corps.
Right.
And bombers. And then he just continued with that as a mechanic with Pan Am. You hear about people growing up as military brats and moving all over the country. I grew up an airline brat because Pan Am did not fly domestically. So it was cheaper back in the late 60s and 70s to go to Europe than it was to go see Yellowstone National Park in your USA, in your Chevrolet, like he always wanted to. So we did a lot of flying.
Right.
A lot of good
Right. Good
memories.
stuff. I've known some aircraft mechanics, and I've heard that they have to have their inventory of their tools before the plane leaves the hangar, right? So every tool in the exact spot, which is pre-cut out in the foam, you put the tool in that spot, and everyone inspects that every tool is in its spot. Last thing you want is a wrench going out on the jet, you know. Yeah.
I'll tell a real quick story if I might. His World War II plane was a B-26 Marauder, very lumbering, big bomber type fat plane, you know, that the bay doors that dropped the bombs, and who knows where they dropped bombs. But there's only, as of 20 years ago, there were only 3 left in the world. One which actually flies, and 2 that are used for parts. They're in Kermit's, what is it called? Fantasy of Flight, which is between Orlando and Tampa. There's this guy who was born with a silver spoon in his mouth, oil money, and he collects all these different kinds of planes there, and you can go see them. And he actually flew my dad's ashes and dumped them over the field there, like Field of Dreams. So we say that my dad comes out of the field and walks into the airline hangars there and plays with his B-26 Marauder at night. It's
Right.
just what gives me goosebumps. It was a really cool story.
Wow.
On there. It was neat send off.
Very cool. Very cool. Thank you. And for anyone who plans on being in Southern Arizona, there is Pima Air and Space Museum. I lived in Tucson for 10 years. And for anyone who's interested in some of these museum pieces, amazing collection of planes there in Tucson. So thank you, Virginia. Allie's got her hand up. Hey, Allie, what's your story? Where's Allie?
Hi there.
Hey.
I think my internet's a bit unstable, so apologies if it goes bizarre. But yeah, no, I just wanted to say about how important it is, and what a fantastic reminder about enjoying the journey and not being fixated so much on the distance, the goal, but to make sure you are enjoying the journey, the now, the present, and how crucial that is, because that is all we have. We have the now, we have the present day, and it's so easy to just be head down and not actually enjoy the journey and what you're doing. Yeah, brilliant reminder. Thank you. And I love that, not fixating on what you haven't done, as that is something that I do a lot. So yes, rejoice in what you have done and enjoy the journey more is brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you, Allie. And you deserve to enjoy the journey. And you do lots of great stuff. And so you'll do more great stuff. And I'm not here to sit around and just be critical of myself, you know. So it's easy to do, though. So easy. So thank you, my friend. You look awesome as always. Who else? Who else is awesome? Who wants to come out here and say a few words before we get on with our day, our week? I know we've got people all over the place. And for those of you in a pleasing time zone, we are going to be meeting again at 9 p.m. Eastern. Again, the link to invite friends who are interested in book study would be jlsuccessmastermind.com/books. Anybody else want to talk today before we wrap up? All right. I don't see any other hands. Well, let's go ahead and let's have an awesome day. Let's know that we are, right? Let's be present with that. And then, of course, I'll be getting back together with you guys here again tonight.